Hello! Welcome to the first episode of Wonders and Blunders. We're a Dungeons & Dragons podcast. We're actually a bunch of Newfoundlanders in Toronto playing Dungeons & Dragons, and we're going to do that in an audio format for maximum imagination. You can imagine whatever you want, but, while we're telling the story, maybe you could imagine the story, but you don't have to. It's your brain. If you don't know how to play Dungeons & Dragons, don't feel intimidated by this or anything, because I am the Dungeon Master, which sounds like it implies a lot of knowledge, but I really also don't know any of the rules. So we're all going to be figuring that out together. The basis of the game is just I'm the Dungeon Master, so I'm kind of the game engine, and all of the players have created characters, hopefully heroes, maybe not. They can sort of do whatever they want, which makes it difficult for me. But their heroes are going to get injected into this fantasy world, and we're all going to go adventuring together. So the basis of the game is they're just going to tell me what they want to do, and I'm going to tell them what they have to do that. A lot of it involves rolling dice, so they'll roll a 20-sided dice, add some numbers to it, and usually the higher the number, the better the result. I want to thank you so much for coming to join us for this first adventure. I'm so excited. We're just going to get right into it. Our first episode, you'll get to know a little bit about the world and meet all the characters in the campaign, and we're very excited to have you here, so thank you. So we open our story with the Caravan of Wonders, which is sort of an embellishment. It's not really a caravan, it's just two wagons stuck together and tied to two huge, angry rams named Gertie and Brett. They are piloted by Yuri, Ditch Digger, the dwarf, who runs the Caravan of Wonders, which is his own sort of little company where he travels around the world looking for magical items that he can reclaim and then sell to the highest bidder. You would have met Yuri at some point in the desert near Pralia, a large desert city, where you joined a huge trade caravan that made their way across the Death Wastes into the World Spine Mountains. Yuri has a journal which he has been deciphering, which led him to believe that in the World Spine Mountains there is some magical item of great power, which he wants to find and later sell. Yuri himself is a stout little dwarf dressed in fine robes. He has a little short-brimmed hat around his head, a long braided beard, and a small black cloak that looks like it might have come from the smallest blackberry you've ever seen. He doesn't seem super bothered by the cold. He's usually fairly cheery, unless you question his leadership in any way, at which point he gets quite snippy and angry. So on this day, it's been a long 2 months up to this point, but fairly uneventful. The Death Wastes are supposed to be a really terrible place full of necromancers and terrible beasts and monsters, but you made it across pretty easily. And when you made it to the World Spine Mountains, the rest of the merchants went underground, taking an underground, well-guarded road, which leads to a dwarven city in the mountains called Mox Therain. But Yuri was convinced that it would be faster and easier if they took the regular trade roads, which have been completely snowed over during the winter. He didn't want to be disturbed, he didn't want people following him, so he brought you in this direction. And you quickly find out why nobody travels these roads in the winter. It's unbearably slow moving. Even with these huge rams pulling the wagons, you've been really, really slow going, trying to get through the massive valleys created by the World Spine Mountains around you. Most recently, you've spent the past 4 days trapped in a cave together as a massive snowstorm rolled through. During that time, you spent it huddled around the fire, cooking what little stores you had left, and listening to Yuri mumble as he goes through his journal, which never leaves his side. After these 4 days, you manage to push the snow back from this clearing from the entrance of the cave, and you see the bright winter sun shine in on you. And after a couple of hours of digging out and hitching up the wagons, you're back on your slow roll towards Pinnefell, the logging town which Yuri is bringing you to. So he is joined by a colorful cast of characters of all monstrous shapes and sizes. So you can, I think everyone would like to hear what you're all about.
I'd also love to know, who are you?
Who am I? It doesn't matter.
just a name.
I'm Mike. I'm the DM. I will play characters such as Yuri and angry squirrels and everything else that's met along the way.
All right. I'm Kate, and I'm going to be playing Caravan. So as we walk along today, as the caravans ski along today, Caravan is hanging off the edge of the rear caravan. There's a little bit of a seat running along the outside. So she's dangling her feet and writing in a journal. Caravan is a halfling, and she's got a bunch of new winter gear. So she's got some new furs and fresh, untrodden moccasins. And then she has some older, more worn clothes underneath. She's got a gray wool skirt and a pretty colorful blouse, and some pants peeking out from under the skirt in like a crimson, sort of pinky crimson color. And she's got a staff laid out on the bench beside her, and a little sickle in her belt. She's very tan and looks like she spent a lot of time in the sun with sort of reddish hair with light sun streaks. I think that's about it. Yeah.
And she's a druid?
She's a druid.
Yeah, sweet.
I'm Evan. I'll be playing Valen Darius Iron Rutherford IV, a human wizard. Most everyone else on the caravan by now will be just calling him Valen. And Valen, like the little rich boy that he is wearing very, very fine clothing, a sort of long white smoking jacket, a sort of paisley purple vest with a green ascot, some fine green pants and fine brown leather boots. Right now, he's lazing with his new friend Bree on top of the second wagon in the caravan, leafing through his favorite book, The Legend of Azrakai, and sort of rolling the crystal orb that he often has with him around in one hand, sort of idly.
I'm Andy, and I play Rowan, a Furbolg rogue. I'm 7.5 feet tall, real lanky. I'm kind of striding beside the carriages as we move forward. He's got wavy, coppery hair, cut short on the sides with a cowlick in the front and a cowlick in the back as well. It kind of sticks off like a bedhead all the time. Always an affable grin on his face, clean shaven, unlike most other Furbolgs. A greenish olivey tint to his skin, his nose being the most obviously inhuman part of him. A boxy bulb with cow-like nostrils, and clearly a broken bridge, but it still has a bit of a hawk hook to it. He's wearing old woven leather armor. The seams and the creases in that are kind of tinted green with like a moss algal growth. And over his shoulders, which sort of slope dramatically, is very poor posture. It kind of accentuates how lanky he is. He's got a very, very heavily laden blueberry bush that sort of sits almost like your typical fur mantle on a warrior or something. But this is a gift from his druidic mother. And right now there's actually a squirrel sort of perched in it, kind of nibbling at the blueberries. And Rowan is just having a big old yarn with him. You can't pick out everything he's saying, but it's got something to do with his uncle Lycan and how he was odd, but really kind of grew on you. And raised squirrels and just a whole bunch of energy, and just reminiscing with this squirrel as he kind of goes through. He carries a short sword all the time and a hand crossbow. Both are elvish in design and both look very cartoonishly small in his big old furbolg hands. Around his brother Teak sits around his neck. He's a broken shard of purple geode, and every now and then Rowan will kind of pick it up. It'll kind of dimly glow, and he'll say something to Teak and sort of pause for a minute and chuckle to himself and go back to chatting with the squirrel.
Okay, I'm Robert. I'll be playing Shooting Star in the Desert Sky, a Tabaxi rogue. Of course, that name is really long, and it's a formal Tabaxi name, so everyone else in the caravan just knows him as Star. So Star's wearing sort of he's a cat. First of all, he's a Tabaxi, so he's very tall and very slender. He's 6'4", but very, very light and lean. His clothes are very functional, you can tell, easy to move around in, and obviously not originally built for this kind of weather. He grew up in a desert town where he was actually a person of fairly high birth. So his clothes are very nice. He wears a loose cotton shirt with a stiff collar, with leather armor strapped on over it, a big broad belt, and some big loose harem pants that is sort of gives him lots of room to move around. And sort of slung over all of that, he's wearing a big heavy cloak, and he has a tiny little red hat, like a fez, on top of his head. Star's not the only person who's on the only cat, I guess, who's on the Caravan of Wonders. He's from noble background, and I've taken something called the Retainers feature, which means that he has 3 retainers, but they're not really his retainers. They're really just his family, just 3 members of his family that decided to come along on the adventure. So with him are his cousin, Light, his younger brother, Dust, and his sister, Sky. Light is a lighter colored like sort of snow, like a snow leopard, but she has a light tinge of yellow. Sky is tinted just like Star is, orange and black fur, sort of dark streaks coming up on the face and around the hands. And Dust is much, much younger than both of them. Light and Sky are about the same age as Star is. Dust is a very young teenager, around 11 or 12. He's gray and white, much shorter, much more timid. He doesn't really play as much of a role in helping set up things. He's just kind of along for the ride. And as we're walking along in the caravan, everybody's been sort of cooped up for a bit. You can see that Light is sort of relaxing on top of the front caravan, taking in the sun, and Sky and Star are chasing Dust around in the snow, throwing snowballs and just having a ball.
Okay, I'm Mitchell. I'll be playing Benjamin Craven. Benjamin is also a boy. He appears to be about the same age as Dust, around 11 or 12. He is currently sitting next to Yuri at the front of the caravan. He's been mostly keeping to himself, so he's sort of shy around all the other members of the party, but he is, at the moment, kind of talking Yuri's ear off and asking a lot of questions about everything. And he is kind of watching with a sort of longing look in his eyes at Dust and Sky and Star playing in the snow. He's got very pale skin, sort of inhumanly pale. He has an ethereal quality to him. He is a shifter, a being with a lycanthropic background. He, at the moment though, that's a secret. No one knows that. Also, forget it all. Also, more secrets. He's a cleric. No one has seen him do any magic. He doesn't have any weapons on him, visibly. And no one has seen him do anything of really any interest. He's currently wearing a sort of heavy fur coat of a sort of light gray with brown and white speckles in it. It gives him a sort of puffed up, sort of fluffy look. Underneath, he does have fine, very new looking leather armor. And there is a silver and gold chain that can be seen poking out and disappearing under the armor and his overshirt. He's wearing just heavy gray pants and some fine leather boots that the pants are definitely looking a little short in the hem. They are there's exposed ankle above the boot, and if anyone has been paying attention to his size, he seems to have grown a noticeable amount in the 2 months since everyone has met him, and he's starting to outgrow his clothing. It would seem he's sort of in the middle of his growth spurt. It would appear. Oh, and he has large, very large, dark brown eyes that sit. They're very curious, and he has a very sharp chin. And a messy, kind of permanent bedhead with a shock of white hair on the top. He has just dark brown hair.
I'm Kieran, and I will be playing Brizicia Dask, or Bree for short. Bree is a 7.5 foot, 500-pound lizard folk barbarian that mostly resembles a meaty jungle crocodile. The scales that run along her underbelly glitter like white opals, while the chorus scales of her outer hide blend into a dull sapphire blue like the ocean waves. Small rounded horns dot the edge of her skull, and she has aquamarine eyes, alongside of a very large meaty tail that follows behind her. She's most often found on top of the back caravan, where she's currently hanging out with Valen, who has become a sort of ward in a sense. Bree treats a lot of the group like she's the mother hen in trying to keep them safe, as they're all very, very squishy little people. In terms of possessions, there's not a lot of things that Bree owns, just a couple of pouches that sit on the small of her back, a quiver full of javelins, but most notably, she also has a trident made of a single piece of bone and a large moose antler in her other hand that she uses as a shield. During the travels, she's often seen kind of jumping off the back of the caravan and diving at any small game and stuff that passes by to sustain her hulking figure.
Amazing. And all people who see this terrifying party will be seen running into the forest in fear.
Don't run from me. I'm just a little boy.
Full of secrets. Filled to the brim with secrets.
So many secrets. More secrets.
Cram another secret in there if you try.
More secrets than boy.
Pretty cute little kitten too.
Okay, so you set off. It is a really slow pace. Even with the skis on the wagons now, they drag through this snow, which is now waist high if you're walking along the wagon. As a description for the wagons, in the front is Yori's sort of personal chamber, where he sleeps on his own. It's a covered wagon, and he sleeps inside there, keeps all of his personal goods in there. You've gotten glimpses inside, but it nothing has really stuck out to you as being crazy. It's just that's where he sleeps. Benjamin has been inside, because most of the time Benjamin stays with Yuri. All of you arrived in small pockets of groups, but when you arrived, Benjamin was already with the caravan with Yuri. In the back, on the second wagon, which is lashed onto the first one and drags behind, is your sleeping quarters. There are 5 of you, or I guess there's 8 of you, which is even worse because there's only 4 beds in this carriage. So usually the time is split sleeping and riding on the side or walking next to the caravan. At this point, walking is quite a chore. So the easier way to do it would be to sort of sit on the sides and ride along. I guess with that, something I'd like to know from all of you is maybe if you're okay with sharing it, the reasons that you came along with Yuri, if there was anything in particular that stuck out to you, or at least what you've been telling people.
Well, I'm on a bit of a walkabout. I'm looking for rare plants, and getting my roots dug a little deeper for my druidic skills.
Okay, cool. So this is probably a semi-new biome for you. You're in the snowy mountains. This is the end of winter. Get my calendar out here. You guys are actually...
Oh my god.
It is the 11th of January right now. And so it's getting close to the end of the winter. But even in the summertime along the World Spine Mountains, it is snowy. The altitude's high enough that it does snow all year round. But at this point, you are getting close to the end. So the weather was supposed to start warming up. But you have just spent the last 4 days trapped in a cave in an unrelenting snowstorm.
Yeah, so I guess I can also say what my motivations were. At least So Star, if anyone ever talks to him, is just going to start talking people's ear off about his what he's described as the most important quest that he's ever undertaken in his entire life, and that's to become the chief duelist in the entire land. And so he's joined up with this caravan to go because they were going to the next town and he didn't want to travel by himself anymore. He's going to go into town and he's going to find whoever he thinks the toughest person in the town is, and he's going to challenge them to a duel, a non-lethal duel, and attempt to either defeat them or learn what he can from them.
Great.
Yeah, all right. Okay.
That's awesome. Yeah, there are a lot of hardy people who live in the World's Spine Mountains. This is a pretty good place to go to find a worthy
It's a good
opponent.
training. It's very different from the desert where he's used to. So it's So this has been like he's been on the road for about 3 months, kind of doing this, hopping from town to town, and you can tell that he has quite a large amount of resources, I guess, to be able to do this. But other than that, he hasn't really talked about himself, except maybe to Valen.
I would have explained that I am seeking a friend of mine who seemed to have gone missing, and I'm hoping to pick up her trail somewhere out here in the wilds, or at the very least stumble upon something that may point me in the right direction.
Ben?
No comment.
Right.
The smooth-skinned and cats are useless in wilds, so I have been traveling with them to help them from not being killed by 1,000 creatures on journey.
And it's greatly appreciated.
Well, I think maybe I'll start using my voice too, so I get a little bit of a hang on it, maybe. I've already told you about my brother here. He's in a bit of a pickle, and I kind of hold up the little geode. It kind of flickers as I hold it. So, well, I'm looking for a few clues that might help me get him out of here. But also, I like mountains a lot, and I like hanging out with you guys a lot, and kind of just taking it as it comes, and hoping that eventually I can bring back my brother to our mama and papa, and not get in quite so much trouble.
We'll find a way, Rowan.
Yeah, I'm thinking so.
Okay. So you set off down the road at a fairly slow pace. Your food stores, Yuri has been keeping semi-secret from you. Rowan, you would have noticed he's nervous while out on the road. And he has been taking pot shots at just about everything that runs across the path, hitting basically nothing. He hasn't explicitly asked you guys for help or anything yet, but he seems like he's in a rush, especially now that you've spent all this time in the cave. He seems like he's in a bit of a rush to get to Pinnefell.
Oh yeah, what's your pat? You're like, you notice everything basically, right?
Well, no,
like that's
I
Rowan's.
have real high passives. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. Well, now it's been 2 months we've been traveling together, right?
Yeah, so you made your way
wow.
across the Death Wastes together from Pralia, across a long desert passing, which actually took the majority of the time. You came across with a large trade caravan who are on their way up to Mox the Rain, which is a big dwarven city in the World Spine Mountains. But when you got to the mountain range at the base of it, they chose to take the underground route, which goes directly to Mox the Rain, and it's a little easier defensible in such a huge group, and takes a lot shorter of a time. Yuri laughed that off and thought that his way would be significantly faster, and you quickly found out why people go underground, especially this time of year. The snow has just slowed you down so much as you went across. But you did have a nice, easy time getting across the Deathway, so you all heard terrible tales of necromancers and terrible beasts. The land was just ruptured and destroyed by the War of the Weave 1,000 years ago and still hasn't recovered. So all in all, you had a very easy time getting across there. The worst you've had to deal with is snowstorms in the mountains. So that's pretty good.
What was the name of the city we're going to again?
Pinnefell.
Pinnefell. Okay.
Yeah. You don't know much about it. You haven't seen it on the maps that you've seen. Which probably implies it's pretty small. So is there anything that you'd like to do on the road as you go, or are you just kind of ride it out?
Star is just sort of sitting in the wagon reading a book. He's riding it out.
Okay.
And Benjamin is up front with Yuri?
Yeah.
I said, Uncle Yuri, what were some of the adventures you've had when you came through here before?
Oh, well, I did all sorts of things. Fought a bear down over the hill.
What kind of bear?
Black one.
How big?
Oh, geez, I don't know. He's pretty regular size, I suppose.
Is that where you got your cloak?
No, this was something else.
What was it?
Well, don't you want to hear more about the bear? I mean, it's not a great story, I guess. Actually got trapped inside a cabin for 7 days. It was just sitting outside waiting for me. And eventually I got fed up waiting. And I saw some people come by and I thought, oh, maybe I'll go out and I'll scare the bear towards those people and then we can pincer maneuver it. And I scared the bear and it ran towards them and then they ran away and then it turned back on me. And I barely escaped with my life. Actually, I still have dreams about that bear.
You barely escaped?
Go on. That's a good one. That's very good. You don't normally have much of a sense of humor. The road's been good for you, hey.
Benjamin just stares off.
Yeah, don't you worry, little Benji. You're going to have your own adventures someday, you know?
Do you
Get
think?
a little bigger, although you're really sprouting up. Hey.
Yeah, we're going to need new pants.
Yeah, me. I needed new pants after the bear as well.
Yeah, Rowan would probably be up with either Gertie or Brett. I'd say up with one of the Rams.
Oh yeah,
and
okay.
just kind of like plodding along with that and be like, if you're needing any kind of a break, you just I can tell that you're proud and you're doing a great job and you've got a lot of strength there and that's good. But these wagons are heavy, and if you need a break, we can come up with some kind of code, maybe, a little nod of your head or something, and I can slip in that harness maybe and help a little myself. No one needs to know. You can keep up close, but I'm just letting you know that there's the option.
So furbolgs can just straight up talk to animals? Like, you don't have to roll or anything. They just understand what you're saying. Yeah, both of them are like watching you intently as they sort of like not. They keep walking forward, but they're watching you intently. And I guess if you've been talking to them on this whole trip,
Yeah.
you're probably the only one who can get within like 5 feet of them without them trying to headbutt you.
It was probably the first full month of me getting to that point.
Yeah. Lots of bruises on your ribs.
Yeah.
They really go for the ribs. Just take full, go right for the center mass with those, with the big, and they are massive. They're big rams.
Yeah.
Much bigger. They stand. The top of their horns is almost as tall as you are.
Right, and I'm like a tall rake, like I'm real lanky, like big old Adam's apple. So they can probably tell too that I wouldn't be able to budge.
Yeah, the two wagons together, especially in the snow, even these massive rams are having a bit of trouble pulling them through. And they, with your insight. Looking at these rams, you can see that they're not tired, but they do want to break.
Yeah.
They can keep pulling. They just don't want to necessarily.
Right.
But they take that under advisement.
Okay.
At some point, if I get the chance, I'd like to walk up to Yuri.
Yeah.
And probably for the 20th time over the course of this journey. I was hoping you might be able to tell me a bit more about this ancient weapon that you're looking for.
He's like, well, Yeah, I could tell you a little bit more about it. So let's think. What do we know? We know it's old, very old. Probably, I mean, it has to be older than the War of the Weave because it was used in it. So I believe, and I don't know for sure because the thing is, I found this book. I've told you about the book. Book is did I not? I probably maybe I didn't.
I'd be fascinated if I might have a chance to read it.
Absolutely not. It's for my eyes only. I cannot risk this information falling into the hands of anybody else, and it's not that I don't trust you yet, but I don't trust you yet.
Well, we're all trusting you, Yuri.
Yeah, that's proper. Your lives are in my hands. Oh, that was stressful to say out loud.
I'd be happy to help you, is the thing. The more I know about what we're looking for, the better chance all of us have of helping you find it.
Make a persuasion check.
First roll.
Like 30 minutes in. Whoops.
Natural 20.
That 20? Starting things off right. God damn.
That'll be the last one we ever roll.
So that would have been a 24.
24. Holy hell. Okay. Yeah. He
getting all the campaign secrets.
Yeah, okay.
Right away.
Okay. So he
Yeah, so Benjamin with his just big dark eyes that never seem to blink is just like looking from you and at Yuri and then back at you.
So he looks around and he sees Benjamin looking at him and he sees Rowan up front and
I'm just flashing this like just beautiful grin at him. Just
right.
Like,
well, I
wide-eyed and helpful.
suppose I have gotten you into this mess. So probably owe you at least a little bit of information about what you're doing. What we're looking for, I don't know that it's a weapon in the way that it strikes people down, but I do believe that it was an item that seemed to give people information about everything that their opponents were doing. There are legends around the War of the Weave that say that the side that the dragons were on, they tended to know everything that was happening all around the world. It was impossible to pull off any sort of surprise maneuver. It was impossible to ambush anybody. It seemed like they were always 2 steps ahead. Until, and this is the part that is in this book, all of this stopped. And pretty quickly after the war stopped, because a battle happened somewhere in these mountains, and both sides were killed. None of them ever came out. And after that, it seemed like all that information was gone. So it's my belief that after having found and translated this book, that item that they were using must have been lost in this battle. So if we can find the site of the battle, along with all of the other things that all sorts of powerful mages, dragon handlers, dragons themselves, we could stumble upon hordes, we could stumble upon any sort of wonderful amount of riches.
Won't it be hard to find in the snow?
Yeah. It's going to have its own problems. I would say probably if it's just sitting in the snow, someone else has it by now. But the fact that no other continents have been literally sundered in twain would make me think that perhaps it's still out there somewhere. And boy, it's going to be expensive. Let me tell you. We sell that one, it's going to be a hell of a commission for everybody here.
And you're not at all concerned about whose hands it might fall into?
I mean, I could be a little bit selective. But everything's got a price, you know?
This sounds like a truly powerful object. Does your book describe anything about the geography of where this battle took place? Any clues that might point us in the right direction?
Unfortunately, no. It was all fairly well encrypted. I believe it was written during the war itself, so there were some precautions taken so that if it were to fall into the wrong hands, no one would be able to tell. There were just some clues that led me to believe that it was in the mountains, and that at least some of the battle took place underground.
So we need to look for a location that has access to some subterranean areas.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, my general plan, I suppose, is to hit up Pinnefell. We'll all take a rest there and just sort of scout around, ask the people if, anything strange goes on. If, they walked along at any point and suddenly saw all of the plans of their worst enemy. Stuff like that,
Well,
general sleuth work. I usually fly this kind of fast and loose, but generally, if you get me in the town, I'll find the item. That's the Yuri Ditch Digger guarantee.
I have no reason to doubt you.
Very good. Yet. I shouldn't have said that. Forget that. I didn't say it.
Would I hear this? How far up ahead am I? Wrong.
He's like driving the goats.
Oh, yeah,
You're
okay.
right next to him.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
And
should-
he's not whispering this or anything.
Okay.
I should let you know that if you get me within 30 feet of a magical object, I should be able to detect its presence.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I can also do that.
Excellent. We can cover more ground that way.
Yeah, we'll split up. That's always good. Yeah, well, good to know. Thank you. I wasn't sure exactly how everyone was going to help me out, but my last crew quit abruptly when they heard that we were heading across the Death Waste and into the mountains, so I'm certainly glad I found all of you. Also, I swear payment will be made upon reaching Pinafel. I'm hoping I can offload a couple of my minor items for them. I'm sure there's a few things that they'll be looking to buy.
I don't believe most of us are in this for the money.
What are you doing?
Seeing the world. And
Cool. Yeah. So I can just hold on to that.
Well, no, I certainly I do have material needs.
Right. Yeah, we all do, but we don't need to get into that here. It's a little personal.
Didn't mean for it to be taken that way, but you're not wrong.
Okay. Oh yeah. Anything?
So Kara's been like hanging off the side of the cart in the back, making a couple notes in her journal this morning. But at this point, she'd like to hop off and wade through the snow.
Yeah.
Up to the front near Rowan, and just come up close and say, I noticed Yuri's been looking for animals today. I'm worried about the food stores.
Oh, yeah. I'd say that cave dwelling kind of brought us a little low, yeah.
Yeah. So Yuri's like right next to you. So he just looks down and he says, "Oh yeah, no need to worry. I mean, if we get there exactly on time, well, we might have to skip a couple of meals right at the end, but we're gonna make it. Oh, we're gonna make it."
Yeah, Rowan will kind of give him sort of a smile and be like, "Oh, well, no one's giving you any doubts there, Yuri." And then, I'll look back at Kara, I guess, and be like, "I'm just keeping my eyes out for any kind of good roots or something we could pick up ourselves."
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, on the subject of food, the back caravan, is it like a cloth caravan or like a wooded top? Like, can you sit on top of the caravan?
Yes. Yeah. It's a wooden top.
So I think that's where Bree would be a lot of the time, kind of just like tail hanging off the back of the caravan. But would also just, I think a frequent thing during this travels would be, you would just see Bree get up all of a sudden, throw a javelin into the snow, and dive off into the caravan.
Okay.
And come back with like a rabbit or a fox or something, but never share it in any way. And anytime it's kind of come up in conversation, it's been very clear that like if you want your own food, you have to hunt for it. And I don't think Bree has really taken much food from the caravan because she prefers to hunt for things along the way.
Okay, well, that's probably the only reason you have any food left then, because feeding the 600-pound lizard would be a rough one on the old dried victuals. But so you're like diving in like foxes do to get shrews, like face first.
Yeah, I mean, I think anything kind of bigger would be hit with a javelin first. I do have the Outlander feature, so I can find small game as I go.
Okay.
So. Yeah, if it's something I can just kind of chase down, then I would absolutely just chase it down and bite it to death. Otherwise, I'm going to throw something at it and then go catch it and eat it.
Oh, okay, cool. So I would say just make a survival check.
14?
14? Okay. I'll just kind of hold on to that for the next little while that you're traveling along. If you're just up there keeping an eye out for...
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Uncle Yuri,
Yeah.
what's sundering?
I was like tearing, like if you ripped, like a rip, like a big rip.
And that happened to the world?
Yeah. During the War of the Weave,
What was that?
Sorry?
What was the War of the Weave?
What was it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I guess you don't. Well, a long time ago, a bunch of people who used magic were really taking advantage of it. And those people who didn't have magical abilities were really forced down and forced to work for those, powerful wizards. And eventually, people got sick of it. There was a bit of an uprising. And people all over the world picked a side. It was one of the first times in a very long time that there was almost no area that was under complete peace. A lot of people were conscripted and they were forced to choose a side, and they all fought.
Uncle Yuri?
Yes.
What's conscripted?
It's like if you were like, I don't want to fight, and I was like, too bad, you'd be like, I would like to stay home and read my book, and they'd be like, no, here's a sword, go kill a wizard.
So like kind of how I was conscripted?
Well, yeah, I guess a little bit.
Sorry, you've been brought here against your will.
Yeah, I think Rowan
I'm
would
staring at
turn
Yuri
over.
right now. Like,
You can make an insight check.
it's gonna be bad. 8.
8? Okay, that's in this case actually good enough.
Oh no!
He's not hiding his emotions too well at this point. I think he got back to thinking back on his knowledge of the War of the Weave and started getting a little bummed out. And then when you sort of cornered him with these questions, especially Rowan, he looks terrified and guilty. And Valen, you would see like he's extremely nervous. He gets a little bit jittery, and he just says, "Well, I mean, it's not like I'm not holding him against his will or anything like that. I didn't kidnap him. If that's what you're thinking."
I wasn't.
Well, good. That's good
now-
because that's what didn't happen. It didn't. Right, Ben? Please back me up.
Benjamin,
I
you can trust me. What happened?
I have to be here.
And who told you that?
Not Yuri would suffice here. Just a straight. Not Yuri didn't.
Yuri didn't.
Do I believe Benjamin?
Benjamin, you can roll persuasion or deception, and I feel like everyone who's at the front can make an insight check right now because if you're interested in these things.
Well, I got 5.
5.
Yeah,
I believe everyone.
he's telling the truth, as near as you can tell. Like, yeah, he's telling the truth. Yuri didn't force him here.
But someone did.
That seems to be the.
No,
I'm
say
sorry.
that.
Oh.
Hey, you don't
Kinda-
need to grill the kid.
Kind of picking up on the discomfort that's spreading among these people. I would probably kind of over my shoulder as I'm walking with these rams be like, you guys know who the first wizards were? The very first wizards. Any idea?
No.
Are there trees around us right now?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I would point over at the trees and be like, right over there. That's the very first wizard.
Wait, he's right here? Is
Well,
he invisible?
no, right over there. And I point at these trees. Those trees can make all of that material out of nothing but sunshine. And now isn't that magic?
Oh, I see what.
It's actually quite absolutely not magic.
Well, you try to make something out of nothing but light. Mr. Wizard over
I hold
here.
my hand out and like a coin appears in my hand.
And what was that?
That was magic.
Exactly.
No. You see, there are specific biological
Valen,
functions
Valen,
going on within
I know.
the body of the tree.
Right.
And that is.
Well, hey, I think he's got a little something going on here. Actually.
Oh, I know I do. I know. I'm not going to fight with Valen.
They're very careful to delineate between the arcane arts and the sciences. It's very clear that there are sharp gaps between them.
But it's still an art, isn't it?
All right, Phelan. Here's a question for you. Could you do that in the dark?
Huh?
I could, yes.
How would we know?
If a wizard does magic in the dark.
I would hand it to you so you could feel the coin in your hand.
that'd work, actually.
Yeah, okay. the coin disappears.
So as you're pointing out to the trees, Rowan, the caravan takes a turn to the left, and you see all of the trees in this area have started leaning heavily downhill. And just beyond that, you see that there has been this clearing, which you can tell must have been like a huge landslide or an avalanche. The trees in this area, normally pretty thick around you, have been cleared out entirely, and the path disappears under this almost half kilometer of just snow and upturned trees.
Does it look like it was recent, or?
You can do a survival or nature. 16? Yeah. It does look recent. You're looking at the trees that have been upturned. None of the roots have been nibbled. The bark is all still fresh on these trees. You can see that this must have happened within the past couple of days, probably while you were holed up.
Oh, well, pickle. Now, we gonna have to shovel this again? He says with a smile on his face.
Yuri says, well, we could probably get over it. I'd say old Bertie and Gert are up to the challenge, eh? And he smacks them and they just go, and they look at you and they start nodding. They start nodding their heads rapidly.
Looking out over all of that snow, I pretend not to notice, and let me just check the wheels back here, make sure these are on good, and I'll just come down.
Okay, yeah. So this is actually on skis now. The wagons are on skis.
Yes, I know what I said.
Okay. And Yuri takes out his map and he looks at it and he says, "Okay, well, there's a lot of trails." And you would have noticed this actually as you were on these trails. There are trails that sort of branch off like the veins in a leaf from the main trail that you're on. And they're all about the same size. None of them have been traveled recently, so they're all pretty well covered over. And they wind around. A couple of times, even with a map, you've ended up on a trail that has led you back. And you had no idea you were traveling in a circle until you came back to your own footprints. In the valley of the World Spine Mountains here, compasses don't work. They just spin. And because the mountains are so high on all sides of you, it's kind of hard to keep track, especially in the snow, of where the sun is, trying to keep yourself on the right, in the right direction. And Yuri says, "All right, does anyone see a big rock that looks like a bear? We're looking for a big rock that looks like a bear."
Natural one.
Natural 20.
Nat 20? Oh, shit. Oh, my God. You guys are just fucking destroying 2 Nat 20s already. Okay. Perception. From where you are...
Also, I'm very short.
Snow.
Keep that in mind.
Yeah, from where you are is important.
You're doing perception?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So you don't see a bear-shaped rock. But you do see where there are 4 trailheads that come out on the other side of this. Even with all the destroyed trees, they're tilted over to the side, which is covering up where they go. But because you're down so low, you can actually see under where they're tilted, and you can see the breaks in the trees where there are trailheads on the other side of this avalanche.
Well, I don't see a bear-shaped rock, Yuri. It might be gone. But I do see some trails over on the far side there.
All right, well, that's a great start. Let's, if we just make our way over there, just start digging through the snow next to the trailheads, that takes down our area quite a bit. And maybe we can sort of trace those lines or something and figure out where the bear-shaped rock is, and then we can follow that path. And that should take us right to Pinfield.
Well, that sounds like a plan, yeah.
Okay.
The trees that are like leaning down, I'll like over the trail, right? That's what you were saying. I'm gonna walk up to one and be like, "Hey there, I hope you're doing all right. I can't tell if your roots are up or not." And I kind of give it a pat on its side. If you can, if you don't mind, if it's not too much trouble, could you perk yourself upright just so I could have a better look at this tree?
Are you doing this on the other side?
No, to the first ones that we would come up to, like.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the ones that are like blocking the caravan. Yeah. Okay. Make a Persuasion?
I get advantage on these.
On tree persuasion?
On any roll I make to persuade any of like the critters or plants that I talk to. I get it with advantage.
Okay.
It's sweet.
How do you persuade a plant? To do
Feel
what?
friendly to it. And let it know that it doesn't nat 20.
Are you
But also like if they're uprooted or something, you know what I mean?
No,
Like,
no,
yeah.
for sure. Like the tree doesn't dance out of the way.
Yeah, exactly.
But with a nat 20, you put your hand on the tree, and as you watch, almost imperceptibly, it raises a little bit. You see it start to lift, almost like it's trying to right itself, and a bunch of snow falls off the branches in front of you.
Yeah. Oh, well, there, you done your best there, didn't you? Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Way better than its best.
Yeah, and I'll turn around and face these guys and be like, "Look, I got a little bit of the tree out of the way."
So Yuri says, "All right, so we do have to clear these trees out of the way. Thank you for asking nicely.
Yeah.
We're probably just going to chop them down, right?
Oh.
Or tear them up or something. Are you already attached? We attached to these trees?
Well, I mean, to each their own need, I suppose. But that is a shame. That's a shame. And I'll give the tree a pat again and be like, "It wasn't your call." And I'll kind of
Now I feel
mosey-
bad for the tree. We got to go through here, though. I don't know.
Yeah, no, like I said, you do what you got to do.
Oh, you're leaving this to me now. Okay. I'm going to be the bad guy. Always Mr. Bad Guy, Mr. Yuri. Okay. Well, let's... So the way this will work is it's kind of just a group check.
Okay.
So you can work on getting the caravan out onto the avalanche plane, or you can try to look for the bear-shaped rock.
The way that I would offer assistance first is with prestidigitation. I would like to once in a while warm people's boots.
Warm people's boots. Oh, that's nice, actually. That's a good use for prestidigitation. That would actually come as quite a relief. I mean, there's almost no time to dry your clothes out.
Yeah.
You would have been able to dry them out in the cave with your fire, but the firewood ran out on like day 2 and you were barely keeping it alive,
Yeah.
probably with prestidigitation.
Yeah.
To dry things out.
And everyone's like, this whole trip through the snow, like you would just see me just like every now and again, just like waving my hand over myself and just like, warming up different parts of my clothing.
Cool. Okay.
And so I have a question. So we came to a halt, I guess, when the trees actually were blocking the path.
Yeah.
Okay, so because I wasn't part of the conversation at the front, so I was thinking, am I part of this group check or not? But yeah, if it stopped, then I guess I would have gotten up to go look at what was happening.
Yeah, and the 2 wagons are only like from front to back 40 feet away from each other.
Okay.
Like they are bound together. It's not the 2 rams are pulling both wagons from the front.
Got it. Okay. So I'm not even that far back. Okay,
No,
cool.
so you're not really that far back. And Yuri would have announced to everybody that they had to find a way across here. So.
Got it. Just making sure. So I have a question too. So, is there anybody else on the caravan other than just us and Yuri?
No, it's just you guys and Yuri. Yuri.
Okay, cool.
Probably when you were setting out across, a lot of the trade caravans would have already been fully stocked, and Yuri was just sort of sitting next to them with a sign up that said "Gold for help," and would have been calling out to people, asking them to come join the Caravan of Wonders.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Thanks. Then I'm gonna get up, and when I see that we're stopped, I'm gonna direct Light, Dust, and Sky to. So I'll tell Dust to get up on top and start looking for the rock. And the 3 of us, like the 3 adults, will go up to the front and help cut down the.
There is a large crocodile blocking the way.
Yeah. Dust turns around. And it's like,
I wouldn't like to go up there. If I could, perhaps I could help tear small branches or maybe check in the snow. The crocodile
I really don't
scares
want
me.
you. If it's all the same, I don't want you to get cold. Perhaps you could get up front on the top one, on the one in the front.
Ah, yes. Okay, I bring my blanket.
and he gets his little blanket and puts it around himself and sits on top of the caravan. There is a tree
directly in his face when he sits on top. But he you can see him trying to peer out over it. I'll give him disadvantage on his perception check. And yeah, he's looking straight into the branches, and he just says,
I do not see the rock.
and the rest of you are going to start chopping the tree.
It's okay, Dust. Keep looking. And yeah, like myself, Light, and Sky, I've directed to start trying to get through the tree.
Okay. Light and so Sky just starts like trying to pull branches off with her arms. Have you given them weapons? Do they come with weapons?
Yeah. I mean, so they're commoners, right? So, but like they have like because we're setting out on an adventure, they have like backpacking equipment. So they would have weapons. Like, I'm considering them both to have like adventuring packs. You know what I mean? So they have like all the normal stuff, like coils of rope, bedrolls, tents, like things like that. So they definitely have weapons.
Okay, great. So she'll take out a short sword, or they'll both take out short swords.
So I'm gonna ask Yuri. Yuri, is there anything on the caravan that we can use to cut through the woods here?
Well,
other than just denting our weapons on it.
I've got an axe. How's that?
That's perfect. You only have one?
I've got two. And he hops down and goes into the back, and he tosses you 2 hand axes.
Well, that's perfect. And then, so give those to Light and Sky.
Okay, perfect. So they go over and start, so Sky has just started whacking the tree with her short sword. She jumps to everything that you say immediately because that's her whole deal. And you do see that it's like damaging the short sword pretty badly.
Yeah. No, don't. Please use the axes. Don't use the swords, Sky. Come, please.
And she said, "Oh yes, okay, give." And then you give it to her, and she starts wailing away at that. So I'll make it so Light and Sky will give you and one other person advantage on the check.
Okay.
What would everyone else like to do?
I'm pretty tiny and not very strong, so I'm going to go out over the avalanche area and see if I can spot the rock.
Okay, make an investigation check.
That is a 16.
16? So you start making your way across the snow and sort of digging through because you're not sure where these trails would have fully branched off. You have a pretty good idea because you could see all the trailheads where they would have congregated. So you start searching around that area. You find under the snow that there you actually like place your hand down to dig into the snow, and the farther you reach down, you realize it just keeps going. And it goes up to your elbow, and then you push down, it goes up to your shoulder. And then you push both of your hands in and move, and the snow next to you actually falls into this hole.
Okay, I'm gonna get out my staff for poking before I step anywhere.
Yeah.
And just, I guess I'm gonna have a look in this hole.
Yeah. Okay. Do you have dark vision as a halfling?
I do not.
No. Okay.
Halflings do not have dark vision.
So the hole extends farther than you can see into the dark. Even with the bright light coming in from above, that pierces down probably about 20 feet, and then you can see a little bit farther beyond that, but you know it's at least 20 feet deep. It's not straight down.
Mm-hmm.
And while you're poking around with your staff, you find this one that is about 5 feet wide. And as you poke around a little bit more, probably 15 feet away, you find another one that is like 2 feet wide.
I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna call to Rowan, and I'm going to actually just call up to Rowan in his head.
Oh, okay.
So everybody else is not going to be distracted.
That's your Ghostwise halfling?
Yes. Yeah. I found some holes out here. They look pretty deep. Tunnels, maybe?
Yeah, Rowan would probably be kind of talking to the trees and kind of soothing them, and letting them know that it's all going to be fine. And then,
How am I feeling already? We're killing these goddamn trees.
No. They understand. The trees understand. It's not to each their own need. It's a thing.
They're not
they can't
sequoias,
speak
are they?
So you can't hear them screaming.
But yeah, so I'll kind of like perk up, and I guess I'd know the direction it came from, would I?
You would know her voice.
In my head,
Yeah.
and which direction that voice was coming from.
Not that
I mean,
direct, but I mean, you would have seen her go.
I'm not white against a white background.
Yeah, fair enough.
And you're not hiding. on
I'm not
purpose or
hiding,
anything,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, okay. So I'll like perk up and then kind of scan, find you, and then start trudging over.
Okay. As you walk across, make a dex save.
She's
Great. Here we go.
She doesn't go very far through the snow,
Straight up
but
dex.
big old cowboy. Straight up.
You got that
dex.
giant dex, though.
Yeah, that's true. 12.
12?
Yeah.
12 is exactly enough. You sink immediately up to but you just throw those lanky arms out, and you manage to just grab you manage to grab sort of the dirt under the snow, and you grab a root on either side of you as your whole body just sinks down. So Caradove, as you're watching Rowan make his way across, all of a sudden you just only see his shoulders and head sticking out from the snow.
Just a head out of a blueberry bush. Yeah.
Oh dear.
Oh well, that's a pickle. There now, isn't it? That's a pickle.
So yeah, and this is, you walked right over this area, like he was basically following your footprints, but you can just see that you don't sink through the snow far enough.
Okay. Well, that's probably a bad sign. I don't think the rams could walk over that.
Yeah, I mean the holes are too small for the rams to fall all the way through, but it would be something that you'd want to try to mark, just so they didn't stick their hooves in and twist their ankles or something.
I think on seeing Rowan fall into this pit, Bree's head kind of perks up a little bit, like a crocodile coming out of the swamp, sees him catch himself, and then just like sinks back down again.
Nice.
Yeah, I think, I don't know if I would notice that or not. I'm probably warming someone's boots right now.
Yeah, I
One of
mean,
Tabaxi's
again, like
boots.
no one's trying to hide, so
Okay.
so I think like unless someone is purposely trying to, and it's like clear skies and everything right
Yeah,
now.
I've got
so, yeah.
red hair, blueberry bush, white snow.
You all right over there?
Oh, well, yeah. No, I seem to have fallen into this hole, but I haven't really tried to get out yet. So I'm not sure if I'm stuck, but I'm just kind of testing the depths.
Well, let me know how it goes.
I will do that.
So you can do strength or you can do athletics or acrobatics to get out of the hole.
I got a feeling it's going to be acrobatics.
And Star, you can. What are you doing, Bree?
I'm like literally just on top of the caravan watching out. I'm a little concerned about the whole avalanche and what caused it, so I think I'm just kind of keeping an eye out in the area. It's also sunny, you said, so
Yeah.
I'm trying to kind of soak up sunshine from being inside of a cave for so many days.
Yeah.
And the snow is really cold and deep, and so I don't really want to get into it.
Okay. So yeah, you see three skinny tabaxi trying to cut down a massive tree in front of you, and then bask in the sun.
I rolled a critical failure on getting out of that hole.
You slip down the hole. The edges of it are sheer ice.
Okay.
So Valen, as you're walking out and everybody's just kind of calmly talking, you see Rowan sort of put his hands to bring himself up, and they sink through the snow, and like a javelin, he just bobsleds down the hole out of sight.
Goodbye.
Rowan!
Oh dear. I'll start sort of running towards it.
Okay.
I am also going to run over.
Okay.
Yeah, me too.
Valen, make a dex save. Star, if you're running over, make a dex save.
Okay, this is what I'm good at. So, oh yeah, 25.
25? Yeah.
19.
19? Okay, so both of you, you feel your feet like sink in on one side as you're running across. You can see that Rowan's long strides left some holes unfound. So you start sinking through, but you're able to sort of jump. You're light enough that you can jump around these holes. And as you walk more carefully towards the hole, after almost falling in yourselves, you see, it just disappears down into darkness.
How steep is the hole that he fell in?
It goes, as far as you can see, it goes pretty straight down.
Pretty straight down?
Yeah.
I jump in and cast Featherfall on myself.
Okay.
What?
Oh, you jump in?
Yeah.
Okay. So you jump into the hole.
Level 1?
I'm like, no, wait, what are you doing?
Okay. So you. Oh my! Wow.
Don't look ahead. Just jump.
Yeah.
This is triggering an action for me too.
Also,
okay,
as soon
so
as that
you,
happens, I like turn around and shout for Sky, like, Sky, toss me a rope.
Okay. So
That would have been smart.
Reasonable. Huh.
Sky runs across the field and slips down a hole.
Oh, no.
Oh my god!
Everybody stop.
Caravan yells, "Everybody stop!" Yuri freezes. Just to resolve this, Valen, you sink down probably 30 feet, and then while your eyes are still adjusting on the inside, your feet touch the ground, and then sort of slide out from under you, and you start floating and sliding down this tunnel, which extends down. You can see that the snow has sort of been clearing around you, and as it levels out, you can see there's bits of snow, but it's sheer ice under it and just carries you down deeper underground. And yeah, you also hear just like from somewhere else that echoes off into the distance.
Oh boy.
So yeah, I think this whole time Benjamin has just kind of like had his head kind of poked up over the edge of the caravan, and he's been just kind of watching dust.
Okay.
With big dark eyes, and then when
Dust
all
is staring into a tree still.
yeah, and so when all this goes down, Benjamin just kind of takes it all in, and then goes into the back of the caravan and comes out with a length of rope and ties it to the caravan, and he just says, Uncle Ur, if you could double check my knot, and climbs down and starts walking out over the...
Okay, if you're walking carefully, you can avoid these holes.
Good. I'll do that.
Okay.
There's a moral there.
I just,
How many more could there be?
Yeah, there's you see like at least like 7 separate holes at this point, which you've been finding out with your faces. You've just been face testing these holes.
So I have 50 feet of rope.
50 feet of rope. Okay.
So I guess that's probably not going to get me too far out there.
No. I mean, it's like 500-ish feet across the whole clearing.
Okay.
Or no, it's actually quite a bit longer than that. But you can get out to where Sky fell through.
Okay. Just like with my 50 feet will get me there.
You could go another like 20 feet beyond that to where I guess to where Valen and Rowan went down.
I think Bree is directly behind you, like basically holding onto this rope as well. Like I have leapt off on seeing Valen fall down the hole. I have leapt forward off the caravan, and I'm like not letting you more than like 5 feet ahead of me.
Ben turns around and goes, "You're too heavy. Do you have any rope?"
And I reach into a pouch, like just sitting above my tail, and pull out a bunch of rope.
Okay. Benjamin, I guess, he knots the rope together, and then starts to let himself down the first hole.
The one that Sky went down, or the one that Rowan went down?
The one Sky went down.
The one Sky went down?
The closest one.
Okay.
And
That's the one into the meat grinder, right?
Yeah, well, they all go into the meat grinder.
But right before he looks up at Bree and he just says, 3 tugs and pull me up.
and then starts to lower himself down.
Okay. Star, you're
I'm gonna make my way over to where they are if I see they're at the hole that Sky fell down.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, carefully you make your way across.
Yeah.
So you're lowering down to Sky. Valen has jumped down the Rowan hole. And Yuri just says, "Oh, for God's sake, everybody, are you just all going down the holes? Is that fine? Go down, get them, bring them back up. I'll make sure. I'll keep working here with that dust and light, and we'll start getting this cleared up."
I think I don't. All right. Frankly, I'm a little bit insulted, but it's okay. I understand. Well, it's not like I'm going to leave my sister.
Which one? The one that fell down the hole, or the one that's still here?
The one that fell down the hole. Which could I possibly mean? Never mind.
Okay, you gonna go down and get her?
Yes, you are thick for a dwarf, aren't you?
I'm quite thick. Thank you for noticing. And then he picks up the hand axe that Sky dropped and starts chopping away at the tree. Okay, so let's go underground. Hello, it's me again. Thank you so much for listening to our first episode. We are very excited to have you here, joining us on this grand adventure of falling into holes, just like Lord of the Rings. If you like this episode and you want to hear more, if you're just thinking, how can I help these folks out, follow us on social media. You can find us at Wonder and Blunder. That's Wonder and Blunder. And you can find us on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. I'm sure we'll have YouTubes and all those other things down the road. Also, rate us on iTunes would be a huge help. If you really liked it, give us a good rating. If you really didn't like it, just cup that negative review in your hands and whisper it into the knot of a tree somewhere. Just put it out into the universe. We'll get it. These are weekly episodes. We'll be releasing them every Monday, so check in on Mondays. Download your new episode. Leave us a rating on those ones too. Tell your friends. Thank you so much again for listening, and see you next time.